Hello everybody and welcome to the third episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile, plenty of things to say, but let's start with a great exclusive. With me today, there's the new substitute of Lucas Biglia. Alistair Mackenzie, how are you today?
These introductions are getting better every week. I really like it. I'm okay. I'm a bit tired, so I need to get into pre-season training clearly if I'm gonna be playing next summer.
Are you ready for the job?
Well, it depends how much they pay me. I hear Milan might be offering me more, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you cannot expect that much from Lotito, unfortunately.
No, just a handshake, a good handshake, and that'll do.
Talking about contract, you know who is free now? Ibrahimovic. Would you sign him for Lazio?
Well, yes. Sure, I think he's proven he's still a very good player. I think the problem you've got here is his wage demands are just absolutely through the roof. But then again, you also make a lot of that money back with the fact that he's got this ridiculous fan base around the world. And I think shirt sales alone, you'd make a lot of it back. The question's probably more, would he come to Lazio, I suppose. But to be honest, I don't think it's realistic, is it?
Well, he's free. He's looking for a club. I don't think big clubs are looking for him at the moment. We saw a little bit of these things yesterday in the last week when the announcement became official that Manchester United didn't renew his contract. So I think Hertha Berlino made a tweet about Ibra to come to their team. We did a poll on Twitter, and 49% of our followers said, yes, I would love Ibrahimovic, but pay attention because 40 said, no, we only want Djordjevic. So
I think this proves you just cannot trust our listeners.
Well, the thing is, as you were saying, it depends a lot on Ibra. I don't think it depends on if he's willing to come to Lazio, because he's the type of player that when he plays, even if he's playing in his own garden, he wants to win. But, of course, the salary could be a problem. The other question is, would you take Ibrahimovic or Balotelli? For example, on Balotelli, he's younger, of course. He could become a star, but it's the mindset of Balotelli that scares me. I know if we're going to take Ibrahimovic, he's going to play 100%, and he's going to give everything he's got. He's going to be ready in December, so the first 4 months he's not going to be able to play, but it's still Ibra. I think it would be worth a try. Not sure about Balotelli. What do you say?
Well, with Balotelli, I don't know. I think he's been given so many second chances already, and yes, he's just had his best season for years and years over in France with Nice, and he's done very well there, and behaved himself as well, I think, more or less. I think he's not been in the papers for the wrong reasons so much, but I still wouldn't really trust him to come back to Italian football and manage to turn everything around completely. I don't know. I mean, for me, he's not the answer. We get linked with him so often, Balotelli, and I'm always a bit relieved when it doesn't come off, to be honest. I know he's a guy with a lot of talent and so on, but I still think there are better options in the market than him, and less risky options. But then again, it's a bit different this time because he's free, like you're saying. So,
and there's a good relationship with Lotito. Raiola has a couple of players at Lazio, and so that's why I think the names of Balotelli, etc., comes out again. Even though, as you were saying with Ibrahimovic, I don't think the salary of Balotelli will fit with Lotito, even though, with the Biglia and Keita and maybe De Vrij leaving, there's plenty of money that Lotito can spend for those players. And with Immobile near them, it's not that you invest everything on them, because you still have Immobile that guarantees a lot of goals. I mean, it would be terrific to have a match with Ibra, Immobile, Felipe Anderson all there in front. This could be terrific.
terrific, but probably not entirely realistic. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's quite hard to imagine where these guys would fit into the system anyway. As it is, with Immobile as the kind of central striker, and can you imagine him playing alongside one of these guys as a front two? It'd certainly be a very different kind of setup to having him alongside Keita. And that's why, for me, I mean, you're talking about good relationships with Lotito and Raiola, and Lotito's also got a very good relationship with Massimo Ferrero over at Sampdoria. And so, for me, we've discussed this before, but Luis Muriel is still by far and away my number one option if Keita ends up going out the door.
And it looks like this relationship is improving, because the latest is that Lazio already got in touch with Sampdoria for Muriel, and Ferrero promised that Lazio won't have to pay the release clause of Muriel, that it's around 22 million, so they can find an agreement for a price lower than 22, which would be good for Lazio. I mean, I fear that if it would be 22, I'm not sure Lazio will go and pay that clause for Muriel, but if it was 15, 18, then maybe Lazio can sign the player, and I think that it could be the perfect fit with Immobile. I still fear, and I don't know if you agree, that Lazio should try to get a stronger striker, physical striker, that could help in difficult situation. But I think Muriel coming to Rome, he could become the star we saw the latest years in Udinese, and I think it could be a perfect fit.
Yeah, and he's if it's Keita he's replacing, they're similar sorts of players, so it would fit Inzaghi's kind of vision for that attack quite well. The other thing is, one of the things that you read about this deal is if Lazio can put players into the deal. So Filip Djordjevic and Danilo Cataldi have both been suggested as guys who could be involved in a swap deal, and that seems quite sensible in that there's a lot of this team that will, it's quite a bloated squad still, and there are some players who could do with being moved on. I would hope Cataldi wasn't moved on, actually, but if you're trying to kind of move things around in attack, I think Djordjevic, we've pretty much decided by now, needs to move on. So if you could manage to get him involved in a swap deal plus cash to lower the amount you're spending, I think that would be fantastic for everyone. Well, apart from Sampdoria, I'm not sure how happy their fans would be about that deal, but for our perspective, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not sure they're willing to take Djordjevic in, as he had 2 average seasons. Well, the last one was terrible. 2 years ago, he was decent. And if I would keep Cataldi, especially if Biglia's leaving, because I think he deserves another chance, and coming back after the experience he had, I think it could change him and make him play much better. So if we can keep Cataldi, that would be better. But I think, Alistair, we have plenty of questions about transfer market from our followers. So do you have some?
Yeah, fantastic response throughout the week. Really, it's not even just been responding to our kind of pleas for questions online. It's been just general good comments and so on, interaction from people this week. So, well, where do we start? I mean, Sean McIntosh has given us a list of 3 questions very neatly here, so I might as well start with these. One of them was, could Balotelli be a realistic option, which I suppose we've just covered. Secondly, with Keita and Biglia all but gone, what should our realistic expectation be next year in the table? So should we start with that one?
Yeah, perfect. As usual, I think it depends on the other teams as well. And we are seeing AC Milan doing a lot of deals that are improving the team. There's still some concern on Donnarumma, but generally you have to think that Milan is building a very good team. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Inter. Roma has to sell, so maybe they can get a little bit weaker. Napoli still didn't make any movement, and they have a problem at the goalkeeper. But I think, and I don't know if you agree, that if Biglia and Keita are going to leave Lazio, they're going to have to replace them with quality players. So we have to see. I don't think that Lazio can simply sell key players without replacing them. I think it's going to be a terrible season without replacement. And I think Lotito and Tare learned the lesson, and I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm never entirely confident that they'll have learned their lesson, but I agree with you that it's entirely dependent on the transfer market, isn't it? I mean, it's not just a case of Keita and Biglia leaving and who replaces them, but it's a case of who's brought in to strengthen the squad as a whole, because as we mentioned before, this is going to be a season where we're competing in the Europa League as well, and historically the squad's not been strong enough, not had enough depth to actually compete over the two competitions. So it's not really for me even just about who replaces Biglia and Keita individually. It's about how many decent players we can manage to bring in to strengthen the squad as a whole, and how Inzaghi can cope with that rotation, because he's had a fantastic debut season in Serie A, but he has had the kind of benefits of only being able to focus on Serie A and Italian football, which is a world he knows very well. Whereas now he's going into a campaign where he's going to have to juggle with Thursday night games, all the travelling that goes with it, and who to play when, and how to kind of manage his squad in the best way to keep them focused on both tournaments. So it's about the transfer market, but I think it goes beyond the Keita and Biglia situation for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this year Inzaghi didn't have to do the turnover. Well, next year's will be fundamental, and if you don't have enough quality player to do it, then that's going to be a big problem, and that's the biggest question. There are a lot of players coming back. We already talked about them: Oikonomidis, Minala, Cataldi, and so on. So we have to see if Inzaghi rate them players that can become useful next season in the rotation, or it's better to sell them and then to find other players.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring up one of the other questions we've got at this point, which is from Rami Algendi, who says, who do we believe, Tare or Keita's agent in all this mess? Why does it always happen when we sell a big player? So, Vittorio, before you answer that question, do you want to kind of explain for anyone who's unsure of exactly what he means by this with the Tare and Keita and the agent situation this week?
Well, what happened is that the agent of Keita, Calenda, said to Sky that he's been contacted by Lazio, saying that Milan made an offer for Keita. They accepted the offer, and so and Lazio didn't try to make an offer for a renewal of contract. So he found out his player is now on the market, and so they will think about the solution. After these quotes came out, and Tare made a statement saying that this is not true. Lazio made a couple of times this season an offer for renew a contract of Keita, and the offer was as a Lazio top player. So I presume we are talking about 2.5 million for season. And after that, the brother of Keita, that I didn't know he was part of the discussion, tweeted saying that the day before Tare wasn't in the meeting, so how could he make an offer? And they didn't receive any offer during the season, so how can it be possible? Maybe Tare got the wrong address. Mediaset journalist the day after would say, now we know who's lying, because Lazio made an offer to Keita multiple times, and this is due because he thinks Calenda has already a deal with Juventus, and the deal was made 1 year ago, so that's why Keita had all this problem in the summer. And again, the agent of Keita tweeted saying, wow, now we know how unprofessional journalists are. This is a journalist who supports Lazio and doesn't trust the player. So it has been a longer discussion, and unfortunately, and it's not the first time that happens with Lazio. It would be a shame to see this happen again, but it's not the first time, unfortunately. So yeah, this is what happened this week.
In terms of the question that was asked here, who do we believe? I mean, it's It's very difficult to answer that. I think, especially from afar, when all you're getting is what's coming through on social media and the statements you read and everything else, I think it's very difficult to actually determine who you believe because everybody's got their own agenda and everyone's got their own story. I don't know which side you favour on this, but
I think it's true that probably Calenda had already a deal with Juventus last summer, and that would explain why Keita suddenly didn't go to the training camp this summer without any things popping out, because he was playing with Inzaghi. Inzaghi always trusts him, and I believe Lazio tried, especially at the beginning, to make an offer of contract. But so I think they're both lying a little bit, but I don't believe that in the last period Tare or Lotito didn't try to make an offer to Keita to renew the contract.
I mean, it would be crazy. It would be absolutely crazy on their part to not have addressed this at any stage. I mean, it's already a complete shambles that you've got a situation like this where three key players have deals running out within a year. That's why you have a sporting director, isn't it? To make sure these situations don't arise. And yes, there are certain circumstances around that are unpreventable, I suppose, in terms of players wanting a way out and so on, but it shouldn't really come to this. And
the thing is, there are different situations. Biglia, Lazio offered him a contract this January, and he agreed but didn't sign it. Here it's the agent of Keita that has problem with Lazio, so they never reach an agreement. Again, with De Vrij, Lazio tried to make a move, but De Vrij said he had to think about it. And I tell you this, still Strakosha didn't renew. What happens if Strakosha next season had another very good season and he still haven't renewed the contract? Maybe a big club from Premier League could come and offer him a big salary, and Lazio would be forced to sell him and get little money because he has just 1 year of contract left.
Yeah, and this is why it's actually such a relief that they have managed to get Milinkovic-Savic tied down on a new deal, which is, I think the importance of that has gone under the radar a bit with everything else that's been going on, but that's such an important move to have taken place this summer because they managed to actually get him to do it at the right time, and hopefully hold on to him. But while we're talking about Keita and Lucas Biglia as well, I think we should bring up at this stage this poll that's been running this week about would you agree to sell Keita and Biglia for 50 million euros to AC Milan, which has been the offer that's been on the table. And it was really tight, actually, and people have had very different views on this. I mean, it's been 54% yes in the end and 46% no. I'll read out a few of the comments we've got, and then we'll get around to finding out what our opinions are about this. Mark Adams said it's at Bailey's age, it's crazy not to take that money. Paul McGuinness, 50 million for two players who don't want to sign new contracts and can talk with clubs in January is fantastic money, but it must be reinvested. Greek Laziale said 50 is okay. I disagree with Milan as a choice. I wouldn't have an issue if it was Fiorentina or Atalanta. I doubt it'd be 50 million in that case.
I think we both agree on that. AC Milan is not the perfect fit for us, but they're the only one willing to pay that price.
Well, that's the thing. I think basically from the comments we've got here, that the overall consensus is that yes, 50 million is quite a good amount of money to get. But, well, actually, apart from Rami Algendi here, who writes that, of course not, that's so low. Keita is only 22, 50 million for him alone. Maybe yes, and Biglia 20 million. I think that's unlikely to happen. But I think the problem for me here is really just the fact of, and I've mentioned this before, that you cannot really hope for the club to kind of develop and push further up the league if you're going to sell your key players to rivals. And we're not talking about Atalanta and Fiorentina, which is unrealistic. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind so much if this offer was coming from Juventus, because realistically, Juventus, for Lazio's objectives, are too far ahead to really be considering catching. Whereas Milan are a club who's finished behind us last season in the league, a club that are going to have a lot of investment going in this summer. In terms of wanting a top four finish, that's your direct competition you're talking about. So I don't really care how much money they're offering. I think that it's just the actual basic sense of, as a football club, what are you trying to do? You're trying to finish as high up the league as possible, and the last thing you should do is strengthen your rivals. And fair enough, one player on the right deal, Lucas Biglia, going there for 25 million, fine. But if you're gonna sell two of our best players from last season to a rival club, I think it's crazy. I think it's absolute terrible management.
I totally agree with you. The problem is that AC Milan is the only one coming with that money, and they already made a deal with Biglia, and we don't have to make the same mistake that Lazio made 2 years ago of keeping players that want to leave. And if Biglia and Keita wants to leave, then you have to sell them. That's the problem if you don't renew the contract. Now, the news that happened is that as Keita is still thinking if accept Milan offer, because he was hoping to finish with Juventus. Now AC Milan is thinking of withdraw the offer and not buy even only Biglia. So now there's the chance that both player, or at least Biglia, could stay with Lazio next season. And the point I make is, I'm not happy if Biglia has to stay just because Milan didn't finalize the offer. I'm not happy because player has to stay with the club only if they're happy to stay. So Biglia stays and sign a new contract, renew the contract, and prove that he's happy to stay with Lazio. Otherwise, I will find, if I was Tare, I would look for another team possible outside Italy to sign Biglia.
Yeah, but I mean, if the deal fell through with Biglia here, I mean, like we've said before, there's still so much of this market left to go. And if you have a player with the quality of Lucas Biglia, who is regarded as being for sale more or less, then within that transfer market you would expect somebody to come in for him at some point. And I disagree with the idea that this offer has to be accepted just because Milan are the ones who are offering it. I think if you allow the transfer market to play out for a bit longer, then it will happen. The only problem there is that kind of contradicts what I've said last week, which is that you want the squad to be built as soon as it can possibly be, so to give Inzaghi the best chance of actually knowing what he's working with. And so you don't really want to be playing a waiting game, but that's the horrible thing about the transfer market every summer, is that you're kind of playing these games which make it very difficult for the coach to actually do his job.
Yes, absolutely. It's difficult. That's why maybe it's better to sell him directly now to AC Milan. That is a competitor, so it's a problem. But then you have time and money to find a very good replacement, and as well find a Vice Immobile that Lazio's missing. But we'll see how things plan out. There's still this mystery about AC Milan, if they're going to really withdraw the offer for Biglia, and see what happened with Keita, because then you still have Keita. The news are that Juventus made an offer, 12 million plus Turaro for Keita. I think that's not enough for Keita. But
no.
The problem is the club already have a deal with the player. Keita looks like he wants to go to Juventus. So it's going to be complicated. And I don't think keeping Keita 1 year not playing, it's going to be useful for both. For Keita, not for sure, but even for Lazio would be a waste of talent and not money to buy another player like Muriel.
And I tell you what, of all the players Juventus could offer us in exchange, if we end up with Stefano Sturaro, I'm not going to be very happy. No. He's a decent, useful
average
player,
yes.
but to have him as to bring down the price that much, to have a player like that is nonsense. But in terms of there's just to bring back to another poll we've done, which is about the players who have been linked with Lazio, who'd be the best replacement for Biglia. Unfortunately, when we do these polls, you can only have 4 options. So we do understand that there are more than 4 options on the table here, but we went with the kind of 4 most likely or kind of most widely reported ones, I suppose, which is between Martin de Roon, Daniele Baselli, Milan Badel, and Davy Klaassen. And it's Davy Klaassen who's won it. It's 35%, and it's not that much between him and Baselli and Badel, actually, and de Roon is down on 12%. the thing is that De Vrij actually looks like being the most likely one to come in at this stage.
I'm not sure about that, because Vincenzo Morabito, that it's a FIFA agent I trust a lot, said just Friday night that it looks like there have been a discussion with Tare, and Tare said, I don't like De Vrij, so he's not going to be coming to Lazio, even though I read all the rumors of the latest day saying that they already find a deal with the player and the club. So, but you never have to trust the rumors, especially in Italy. So, and the thing is, I love all those players. Klaassen is improving a lot. He could be a really, really nice fit for Lazio. He's young, he's improving. Boselli already know the football, the Italian football. And as you remember, last week there were a lot of rumors saying, he's out because he's renewing with Torino. Well, a week passed and still no sign of renew of Boselli with Torino. So this is a sign saying that probably it's not that the deal is not done with Torino, so he's still on the market. Bajel as well is another player interesting that already knows Serie A, so it could be a nice fit. So we'll see what happens. One thing very important that people must forget is that it's not true, as some website and newspaper are saying, that Lazio have to sell before buying. Lazio this year made a nice income thanks to the final of Coppa Italia, thanks to Seleco sponsorship, etc. Has 30 million euros to spend on top of the sales they will make with Biglia, Keita, etc. So it's not true that Lazio have to wait to sell Biglia and Keita before making the moves. Of course, that's going to influence the movement Lazio will make. But don't think that Lazio have to wait to sell before buying.
Yeah, and going back to what you were just saying about Boselli, I think if there's one thing we've surely learnt at this point, it's not to believe rumours of players signing contracts until it happens. I think that in terms of these options, it's pretty much comes back to what we were saying last week when we were talking about Cataldi and Murgia, which is that, yes, they're all good players, but none of them are, in my eyes, going to really do the same job that Biglia does. So it is going to have to be a kind of a reshuffle in that midfield. I do like De Vrij, actually. I wouldn't be against that move, and because Middlesbrough have been relegated and so on, you'd expect that you'd hopefully be able to get him on a kind of cut price, but you wouldn't want to bring him in and say that's that position covered now, because I'd quite like to see two of these four players coming in, and that for me, even if the deal doesn't go through, that's quite sensible shopping to go into that kind of market where you've got talented players who've been relegated or at the wrong club.
I like De Vrij, honestly, and I agree with you that maybe two should come, because they're not able to do what Biglia was doing, so defend and offend. But that's the news I've got about De Vrij and Lazio, so we'll see what happens. It could be that Inzaghi maybe love him so much that will convince Tare. We'll have to see. Transfer market is just started, and already hundreds of players have been linked to Lazio, so Balotelli, Ibrahimovic, De Vrij, it's not the last one. We're going to have to see what happens. And we know that, for example, Atalanta wants to renew Berisha, so Lazio will have to discuss with Atalanta to find a deal there. Cataldi maybe could go to Genoa still, or could be linked to other clubs in Italy. So we'll have to see what plans out. One thing very important, Tare was this week in Milan. Everybody was convinced that he was going to talk with AC Milan. This didn't happen, so probably Tare was there to talk with the club about a signing. Still no announcement was made, but we know he didn't talk with AC Milan, so he wasn't there for Biglia Keita. He was there probably to talk with an agent or a club for a new signing. So that's good news, because I think Lazio's moving, even though they still didn't sell Keita and Biglia, and De Vrij is still a mystery. Stefano Mauri was at Formello this week. He said that he has an appointment with Lotito and Tare. That's going to happen in the next week. Alistair, where do you see Mauri fit in this Lazio? Not on the field, I presume, but where?
I think he's our new Vice Immobile. Well, I hope not. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of it's come as a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest. I mean, quite a nice surprise. I do really like Stefano Mauri. It's quite difficult to say where he's going to be, what position he's going to be in. I think his leadership qualities could possibly be called upon, especially if Lucas Biglia leaves the club. Perhaps there are concerns. There's an issue with leadership, and you need somebody who can kind of form that, help improve the relationships, I suppose, between the club and the players and the staff. I'm not too sure. It's a bit of a mystery to me, but we'll soon find out, I'm sure.
Yeah, he could take the place of Peruzzi, but I think he did such an amazing job that he won't leave. I hope so. Maybe he's gonna take a youth team like Tommaso Rocchi did, because he did the course this summer. But I see him more like not a sport director, but maybe a relationship manager between the club and the fans. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I like the fact that Lotito finally is bringing former Lazio player back in the club, that it was something that was missing. And we all talk about Simone Inzaghi, how well he did. No one point out how much Peruzzi was important in that. Remember when Keita had the problem? Peruzzi was the first one to step out and make that statement and solve the problem. I think he did it very often this season for problems that didn't even come public. But you remember Biglia and Keita fighting, Lulic fighting again. So I think Peruzzi was a very important signing. Last summer I said probably the best signing of the summer. And I think bringing back former Lazio players that know what you feel playing at Rome, the atmosphere, etc., could be really, really useful. Don't know, I'm not sure where to place him, but I think it's going to be useful.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's great to kind of build that identity at the club as well, because you've seen it happen at other, Juventus. You've got Pavel Nedved sitting with Zanetti at Inter, and I think it does help kind of build that club identity. And you've got guys who've been successful, who've won things, and can pass on their knowledge and experience, who aren't just your coaches or your superiors. And having that throughout the club, throughout the kind of hierarchy, is a useful thing to have. So it's unexpected but very well received news. I'm looking forward to it when we actually find out what he's doing. In terms of moving on to just get through another couple of our last questions we've had here. Well, a couple of quite big ones, really. I'll give you this one first, Vittorio. So Sean McIntosh wants to know what Lazio need to do to take the next step as a club. A stadium and new owner, will it ever happen with Lotito? And then he says, how do we get back to 2000? I don't think he's talking about time travel. We kind of covered the stadium issue, actually, a couple of weeks ago. So I suppose just generally what the Lazio need to do to take the next step, I suppose, to push on in the way that we've seen Napoli do, perhaps, in the last few years.
I think there are two big things. One is increase the revenues of the club, and this means ticket sales, but even make Lazio more global, more international, have more fans in Asia, in US, all around the world, which is missing now. We have a lot thanks to Eriksson and Cragnotti, I would say, but we can increase and we can bring them back. On the field, I think we did a very good step this season with the youngster. Of course, we cannot compete. Lazio cannot compete with the salaries that Juventus, Milan, Inter are offering. But you build this young team of very good youngsters coming from Primavera. That could be, the structure of the team. And then around this, you pick 3-4 key players coming from abroad. Felipe Anderson, Biglia, etc. So what you have to do is keep this youngster coming back, like Germoni is coming this season. That could be really interesting. And pick some good players that could help this youngster improve and make the team better. I think that's the step Lazio have to do, because they cannot compete with AC Milan in contracts, in money, etc. So they have to build it like this, the team. I don't know if you agree.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, I think I do think it's heading in the right direction, in that you've seen the club have much more success at a youth level and these players coming through, which is number one, very important. Two, I think the club's getting better in terms of marketing itself online and so on, and I actually think that does make a bit of a difference in terms of having a kind of social media presence and actually kind of being a club who are out there, whereas Lazio seem to be a bit slow in actually catching up with everybody else in terms of that. Still think some work could be done in Rome in terms of actually promoting the club to the tourists who visit Rome and so on, and Roma have been far more successful at doing that. And if you're an American tourist who knew nothing about football, you could quite easily visit Rome and not realise there were two teams in it, because that you don't see as many shops or as promotion. I don't know. I mean, it needs to be a bit more better marketed within the city and so on. I think a bit better promoted. The stadium is a big issue, isn't it? But I think that's essential going forward. But short term wise, I think it's going down the right tracks, and it's also down to how many sensible decisions are made. Because I mean, a guy like Biglia has such a vital role here, because not only is he is he making decisions on which players are being signed, but he's also basically making decisions on how much money the club is making in terms of the deals being struck for the guys who are going out, but then the guys who are coming in, if they're being resold, how much money you're making from them. So I think as long as the signing strategy it gets better and the squad continues to perform, then the rest of it will kind of fall into place after that.
Yeah, I think even performing better in Europe, we see that the Europe League money is increasing. So if you reach the final of the Europe League, now you get much more money and you get more promotion all around the world, because Europe League is getting more and more interesting. So that would help as well. I think that is very good in the market. Probably we need another one that could help making better deals with Lazio and a better publicity. We know that Italian newspaper doesn't love Lotito, and this doesn't help Lazio as well. So that's a big problem.
Yeah, I'm just going to move on to our final question here. Hope we covered that one all right. So Rami Elgendi again, he's saying 2 years ago we had, he says we had De Vrij, Biglia, Candreva, Mauri, Keita, Anderson at his best, and closer. We still have De Vrij, Keita, and Biglia.
For the moment.
The only one left will be Anderson. He says, why is that?
Well, Klose and Mauri were getting old. They both quit football, and I thought...
That's just two, Vittorio. You're not getting away with it that
But, I thought Lazio did the right move with them. With Klose, they could be a little bit better. Klose could have stayed like the ambassador of Lazio. That would be a smart move, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Candreva is the problem we were talking about Biglia. If a player wants to leave these days, then you have to make him leave, because he's not going to produce the football he would do if he was focused on the team he's playing. And we saw it. We have to see what happened with Biglia, De Vrij, and Keita. But if the players want to leave, then the club cannot do nothing. The problem is making more players happy to play with Lazio and not seeing Lazio as a starting point of the career, but maybe an ending point. I think even making all these Primavera players finish in the first squad helps, because they are really Lazio fan, and for them, Lazio is not a starting point. It could be the end of the rival point, and this may convince the other players that Lazio is a good team where to end the career, where to win something, and things could change.
Yeah, I think you've struck a very important point there, which is that
thank you.
You don't want guys, and this is something that's come up, I suppose, in this week in terms of these comments from Felipe Anderson and talking about how ambitious he thinks the club are going to be, and so I think you want players who are coming to Lazio because they genuinely think it's a club that's going to be competing for trophies and has a bright future. You don't want them looking at it, thinking it's a team on just outside the top teams in Italy, and it's a good career move, and it gives you more exposure to bigger clubs. Candreva is a slightly different case, I think, because I think everything around that was handled very badly, because Candreva did appear to want to stay at the club and become a kind of key player and potential future captain and so on, and just the giving the captaincy to Biglia didn't go down well with him, and I think that was just generally quite badly managed, and it was a shame to lose him. So in that case, things were badly managed. I think De Vrij, Keita and Biglia, this has also been badly managed, but yeah, in terms of the other two, Mauri and Klose, it's just a matter of age, and it's going to happen to all of us at some point. So at least we're getting Mauri back now. So we'll be left with Anderson and Mauri, and then you'll be very happy.
Yes, just one point. I'm not sure that De Vrij has been handled badly. Lazio weighed him last year. He didn't play a lot of matches. They offered him a renew of contract, and he didn't want to sign it. I mean, a little bit of thankfulness for a club that bought you and give you 1 year to recover, and you're leaving immediately. That's not very gentle. And with Billy again, in January, they offered him a renew of contract. He said yes, but never signed it. With Keita, it's different. There have been some problems with the agent. But I thought Lazio have problems, but not in these two cases. So let's see. Maybe they learned the lesson, as I was saying before. And this summer would prove it, I think. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think that's us. I mean, we're out of questions now, but thanks so much to everybody who's sent them in over the week, and we'll be here again next Monday. So, who knows what will have happened by then? But please send us any questions and comments you've got between now and then.
Absolutely, and if you want to join us for the next episode, write us saying what you want to talk about, your experience, why you are a Lazio fan, or your thoughts about Keita, De Vrij, or transfer market, whatever you want. If you have a nice argument, write us, and we will try to make us join us in the next episode. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at Lazio Lounge. On Facebook, facebook.com/Lazio Lounge. Subscribe us on iTunes. You can find us on Spreaker, SoundCloud. So no excuse to not follow us, especially if you're a Lazio fan.
Exactly, and also just one other thought I just had is that it doesn't have to be about everything that's going on at the moment. You might be bored of talking about transfers already, so if you want to come on and talk about the first Lazio game you went to, your favourite Lazio teams, players, things like that, historic things, we can get all misty-eyed and nostalgic and talk about the good times as well. I'm quite happy to do that.
Well, it was a good season. Come on, don't be so.
No, that's not a bad reflection on the last season. Just. It's not Juan Sebastian Veron.
No. But maybe he's coming back as well. Who knows? Anyway, thank you very much, Alasdair, for joining me. It was great fun as usual. And talk to you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Bye, everybody.